Lord, protect us both. May our study be fruitful. May we exert together. May our egos not get in the way of our discussion. And may the vision of the teaching bless our lives and the lives of those around us. Lord, let there be peace. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, now let's see if I can find this right away. Now, the last portion was on chapter 4, right? On chapter 4. And we have on page, mine here is 637. I don't know what yours is.
94.
Okay. 634. What's
You
that?
do not become a non-doer.
Hmm?
You do not become a non-doer. You are already a non-doer.
All right, that's what we're going to start.
Yeah, that's where we start.
Okay. I do a find. Okay, there you go. Here is one. You will not become a non-doer, huh? Okay, so, yeah, very good. I found it. The previous one is, it was a short thing, but it says, knowing I am not the doer has nothing to do with action. That's what we saw before, isn't
We
it?
already did that twice.
Right, we did it twice.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to become, now it's, you don't become a non-doer. Okay, very good. Very good. Who wants to start reading? Takers, you want to start reading? Okay,
You do not become a non-doer, you are already a non-doer. When we talk about the Swarupa Atma, we say that Atma is essentially a Karta. This statement is made with reference to Kartutva, doership, that is superimposed on the Atma due to ignorance. Generally one has the mistaken notion, I am a doer, aham karta, and the correction of this mistake makes you see that you are a karta. That you are a karta is a fact to be recognized. Therefore you cannot ask, when will I be able to become a karta? Nowhere is it said that you have to become an akarta, a non-doer, only that you must see a karma is karma itself.
in karma itself, isn't it? In karma.
A karma
In karma itself.
In karma itself.
Okay.
There is no question.
No, let's just make a little pause right here, because this
Yes.
has to be properly understood.
Yes.
See, we can actually then, what is he saying there? He said, when we talk about the Swarupa of Atma, we say that Atma is essentially a karta. What does that mean?
Atma is a non-doer.
What is that?
With
Atma is a-
respect to
yeah.
karma.
Okay.
You are Atma. Yeah.
What does the word Swarupa mean?
It's nature of
nature.
yourself.
Nature, correct. Okay. So the Swarupa of Atma is, the nature of Atma is akarta. It's essentially akarta. It says, so there is no motion at all. Okay. Why is there no motion in Atma? Why is it non-doer?
Because it's a
Atma has no
sarupa.
attributes.
Hmm?
Atma has no attributes, right?
Has no attribute, that's correct. And not only that, Atma is Brahman. And Brahman is Purnam, correct? You know Purnam?
You're complete.
Complete. Now, if Atma is the whole, which is Brahman, so there is nothing else besides Brahman. So here you and I, we say I, because Atma means I. And the I is placed on the personality structures. Either the man, either the female, like this, either engineer, either all these different things. However, this is the Swarupa of this I. Not that there's many eyes, please. No, there's not the small eye and the big eye. It's only one eye, period, one Atma. So then, that to place the eye on the body, the senses, and the mind, then there's a sense of doership, kartatvam. And that is an error in judgment. Why? Because I, being purna, being complete, there's no room, there's not two, it's advaita. It's not dual at all. So there is no way that the self does. Now, it prompts or it gives the possibility of the body, mind, senses to act. But the Swarupa of I, that needs to be recognized. It is something to be recognized. It says this statement is made with a reference to kartatva, the sense of doership, that is superimposed upon Atma due to ignorance. In other words, not knowing Atma as being Purna, then we superimpose this sense of I onto that which is limited. That's the opposite of Purna. And not that there is two things. Not that there is limited and complete. If there is limited and complete, then complete is not complete. Is that clear? If there's an incomplete and a complete, then the complete is not complete. There's no purnatvam. Purna or purnasya, how do you say that? There's no fullness, there's no completeness at all. Why? Because the incomplete will limit the complete. So how is it? How is it that there is this sense of incompleteness, which is the doer, the karta, and then as the Shastra says, this Atma Chaitanya, which is fullness, absolute, complete. Now both you can say are. Why? Because here you are. You enter the skin. Intellectually there's also limits. Emotionally there's limits. Sensory there's limits. So there seems to be two. Either complete and either incomplete. And if I am complete, if I am purna, complete, then what about this incomplete me that I look at here? Where does it come from?
Ignorance.
Avidya, ignorance. As identification and giving the reality to the incomplete as if it was real. But look, this is real. Okay? But then under analysis, if you analyze what you consider real, and if you first come and, how do you say that? Establish what real means. Real, if there's such a thing as real, is that which does not undergo any change. Is that correct? Can we say that? Mm-hmm. Real, if you want that which does not go under any change. That's independent whether you perceive it or not. You might not perceive the real, maybe. But if there's something real, that real should be what? Free from change. Now, you analyze the personality, then can you find anywhere in yourself as a person that which does not undergo any change? No, because everything is changing. So you mean there is a changing reality and there is a changeless reality? And the changing reality is limited and the unchanging reality, in other words, the truth. There cannot be two realities. Doesn't make any sense. So then, what do we say then? You know, are there two? There cannot be two. Because if something is real, then that is the only thing there is. So that needs to be also recognized. Now, so the reality, quote unquote, that we experience, it is not unreal. Why? Because, you know, it is not subjective. We see the same things. So it cannot be real either because it's changing. So it's something in between. That's when we use the word mithya. Because if you analyze all the realms of experience, which are objects around you, including your mind, your body, and your senses, all of them end up with being one thing. This Chaitanya. Chaitanya means what? This undifferentiated, unchanging consciousness, which is existence, Satchit. Everything is reduced to that. And now that Satchit doesn't change. Now, since you cannot go into the forms, into the objects, to discover that which is absolutely existent and absolutely a pure consciousness, you cannot go into anything and find that. Because if you're looking at the universe, even with with this nano stuff, the means are so subtle now, you will always see change in there. And you go and you find that change, now you see something else and so on. So it is impossible. But then the rishis of India, what they did, they went into yourself. And since you're one more object from that standpoint in the universe, and you're conscious of yourself, you can actually then analyze yourself, as you were. Self-analysis. And you can just come to the basis of it. And then you don't come on it as an object of yourself, but as yourself only, free from objects completely. And that free from objects you doesn't change. And that change, that reality that doesn't change, which you are, is exactly the same reality that permeates everything. Is a swarupa of the entire. So from that standpoint, then you are what? Akarta. That's why right here it says, generally one has a mistaken notion, I am the doer. And the correction of this mistake makes you see that you are akarta. We're correcting the mistake. You find out, hey, wait a minute. What does is that which only appears to be true, but what appears to be true is a basis on truth. What appears to be real is a basis on reality, on that reality. And that reality is changeless. And that is myself. So therefore, then you come to realize, and say, wait a second, Ahamakarta asked me, I don't perform anything. Who I am is free from activity. So therefore, you can ask, when will I be able to become a karta? When are you going to be able to become a karta? Are you going to become a karta?
No.
Because you're already...
Yeah, because you are a karta. A karta means, when am I going to stop doing? Wait a minute. And you're not doing, period. You are that which is complete. And that completeness, is not two. Because to do, you require the doer, that thing upon which is done, and the doing.
So then who is the doer if you're not the akarta?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's the doer doing? If you're not akarta...
That's right. What is doing is that which appears to be true, which is the personality structure.
So the personality...
And that is supposed to do.
So the personality structure is
the one that's doing. That's correct. And that you're supposed to do. Because
It's dharma to do.
right, you're ruled by these gunas, these attributes, in which there is the subtle aspect, the dynamic aspect, and the dense or gross aspect. And those things are inherent in the whole manifestation, and they're inherent in you physiologically, psychologically, intellectually. Those attributes are there, and those are formed. Is a water in the ocean, becoming a wave? No, the wave, rises from the ocean. The wave transports itself from one place to the other, moves, but water stays in the same place. It just allows a wave to happen. And then, what is the reality of the wave? The reality of the wave is not its own. It belongs to H2O. So the body, the mind, and the senses is like the wave. That has some, is moving per se. But yourself, the vastu, does not move. This is right here. Therefore you can ask, it says, nowhere is it said that you have to become an akarta, a non-doer. Only that you must see a karma in karma itself. You must see a karma in karma itself. And the seeing is not visual. Like when when you know something, I see.
Cognitive.
Cognitive?
Cognitive.
Cognitive. It's a cognition.
Yes.
It's a cognition. And a cognition implies no action. Cognition implies no action. Is it clear? Is it so?
So you call the water the what? There was a term you used.
Yeah. It's just an analogy. The wave is no reality except for the water. The water here becomes that which is true, real, and the wave is only an apparent reality.
And then you had a name for the water. What represents the water?
Well, that's H2O.
Yeah, but I mean, you had another name. You had a Sanskrit name for it.
Oh well, that's not the point. The point is that we have to see that just as individuals here, we're like individual waves in the ocean. And then there's a substratum, which is one, and undifferentiated. Here we see differences. And there's that substratum, that basis, which is the vastu of everything. And that allows these manifestations to manifest, and they have a reality, but the reality is borrowed from the reality. And that reality is only apparent. That's what's called mithya. Okay, so let's go on with that. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that we clinch this one. It has to be seen like that. And hopefully, then continue on, please. Then there is no question.
There is no question of your becoming akarta. You are akarta. Atma is akarta. And to be akarta, you only have to see the fact. Then you are a buddhiman, a wise person among all people who have buddhis but do not use them. Understanding reality requires thinking. The meaning of buddhiman is something like that of dhanwan, a rich person, as we said before. To have money does not mean that you are a rich person. Only if you have money to give are you a rich person. A man who has money to spend on himself and on others when necessary is a rich man. Whereas a man with money who does not think he has enough to spend on himself or for a cause is simply a moneyed man. He is not a rich man. The difference between moneyed person and a rich person is important to understand. Rich person is one who feels rich. A man who has only a rupee in his pocket and gives it to someone who has not eaten for 2 days is a rich man because, although he had so little, he had money to spare. He has no money, but he is rich. He is already to spend. He is ready to spend. Whereas another man may have millions of rupees and may not be able to spend it on himself or on others. Such a person is moneyed but not rich, in other words, a miser, krupal. Similarly, in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, Agnavalka tells Gargi, the one who dies not knowing Brahman is a miser. Why is he or she considered a miser? Because the person had an intellect that he or she never used. Just as money is of no use to a person who will not spend it. What is the use of having an intellect if you cannot or will not use it?
Okay, very good. Let's make a little pause in here. So, is the example clear?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Here we...
Like Dhanwan and Paisa, like there's a difference, right?
Dhan means
Yeah, miser.
money.
Money.
Yeah.
We don't have a term in English, in Spanish for that. Oh yeah, we have. We call it adinerado. Money means adinerado, but he's a miser. Why? Because he doesn't use, he doesn't use it. He doesn't, do anything. Now, but here, the wealth that we have is what? What is the wealth that we have?
Buddhi.
The buddhi.
Yeah.
The faculty of what? Discernment and thinking.
Discerning.
Discerning, that's correct. That's the capacity. Now you say, and people don't use it. Let's just say that he's actually saying, use it to know himself or herself, to know the self, to become a buddhiman. Here we are. But here's the world too. You say, well, maybe because the knowledge is not, the opportunity is not being given to them. In other words, you need to bring the knowledge to the people. You can say that. Otherwise, they're not going to become interested. It could be one way to say. You got to go out there and proselytize and so on. So wait a minute. I don't care where you come from, but somehow you have to start questioning your life. Like the American song that used to sing this beautiful woman, what was her name? It says, is this all there is? Remember that? Who was it?
No.
Oh, these are some of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Yeah, made a big change.
Sound of music.
Julie Andrews, right?
Julie Andrews.
Is
No, it was a
Julie
French
Andrews.
singer.
Julie Andrews, I think, one of
Was it
those.
a French singer that sang,
Yeah.
Is this all there is?
Is this all there is? Yeah. Anyway, somehow we have to start, the human being somehow needs to take the dive and to find out what the heck is this all about. Now, that is breaking, how do you call this, stagnation. And not only that, the person not only can have the question, because we can say, why me? We say that, okay, like that. But then we don't, we cannot, we don't do anything about it. You don't do anything about it. So the thing is that even though we have a buddhi, we employ it in what? In things that are menial. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Menial?
Or gratification.
Yeah, menial.
Watching TV.
Buddhi is the intellect, right?
Huh?
Buddhi is our intellect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. So our buddhi is employed in menial things. It's like having an ingot of gold.
Or trivial.
Or trivial. Menial or trivial.
Trivial.
It's like having an ingot of gold and you're starving, your family is starving, and you use it to hold the door.
I'm sorry?
It's like having an ingot of gold, 1 pound ingot
Yeah.
of gold at $1,800 an ounce. And then you have your family dying of starvation, your children getting sick and not having to spend money. But then the guy goes and buys an iPod or this or that,
I like the door stopper.
The door stopper, or uses the door stopper.
I don't even buy that.
Right. So anyway, so it is a waste. You see, so the inquiring person, which is a human being, somehow is what is this? Let it go to waste. So that person then he calls it a miser. And he makes example of the rich person and all that, which is moneyed, adinerado, but the fellow is not rich. The rich is a person that whatever he has, he's able to, like in this person, he says, look, the person doesn't have very much to eat and all that, but then even though he has only 1 rupee, then he shares that rupee with another person so the person can eat. Now that is a rich person, he says, like that. So anyway, so it's important that between the ears, a human being has got the most amazing treasure that has been endowed to any creature, it seems, up to now. Well, we haven't gone to another planet to see all the people have it, But in this planet, for sure, here is humanity. But then we do it, and we do it to triviality. It's spent into triviality, the whole life. We go there, we buy this, we get rid of this, and all that. We travel here, now we go around the world this way, now the other way. And at the end, we get a degree here, another degree there, we have, so much pleasure, but at the end, they're all zeros on the left side of a decimal point. If the buddhi, it was not employed. Of course, he was employed to be able to get the right tickets, to get the right prices, to be able to get, the last model, and to make sure to know all the specifications of that model, all this stuff. I can read plans and so on, and I can actually help design my house. All this stuff we can do. And they're important, of course. But then we're missing the point altogether.
Isn't it like becoming a life filler instead of a life analyzer?
Yeah, that's correct. That's exactly correct, yeah. So that's what he's referring to. It is a shame, a wasted shame. So, and it seems to be hard. Because, well, you mean, then you got to go and start taking Vedanta place. Wait a minute, people want it. Swami Dayananda told me, he says, I heard him say something. He says, you don't go out and try to teach Vedanta unless they ask you. If they don't ask you, it's okay. Leave them alone. Why? Because people need to have that inquiry mind. In other words, they're using the buddhi. So what is this about? Anyway, so you want to continue on, please?
Sure. One who has a buddhi and does not spend it is also a miser. Such a person uses as little intellect as possible, keeping it as it is. A man may exercise his intellect just a little to learn something in order to please his parents. He may even get a job, but that is the maximum he is willing to use his intellect for. He does not read anything, not even the newspaper. He sits staring at the TV without using his intellect at all. Why should he use it? For this kind of life, he need to use it at all.
He need not.
He need not use it at all. No real thinking is ever done by such a person. Real thinking is thinking about realities. Because you are dealing with the reality, there must be thinking. Otherwise, you are dealing only with shadows. If the realities are not known, you may be fighting in areas where no fighting is required. One who thinks about the fundamental reality of himself, the world, and God, who knows what it is all about, is buddhiman. This person is rich. He or she has an intellect to use and to spare. The buddhiman has used the buddhi for himself or herself and shares the knowledge gained with others.
Mm-hmm. Very good. There's this. I'm thinking about. Normally, we go by familiarity.
Some
Familiarity, tradition.
Yeah.
Everybody does this,
Yeah, but not question.
and not question at all.
Yeah, just follow.
Why am I
That's
doing
what-
this?
Yeah,
We did all our life.
Yeah.
we did all our life.
Yeah, we follow a beaten path of society, our parents, our grandparents, and somehow we're ingrained to do that, which is in some way. I'm reading a book that you most likely possibly already heard about. It's called The Help.
I
You
am.
heard about it? You read it yet?
Yep, almost at the end.
Okay. Okay, and it is a story that is very much real, in a sense that that here is this society that is running about, with a particular rut, and nobody dares to question it.
Yeah.
And then if you dare to question it, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out, you can be destroyed
Yeah.
by others, and so on. This is what happened in the 1960s. You can be destroyed by others. This character that is in the book about this young white woman.
Journalist.
Yeah, the
She risks
journalist.
everything.
Yeah, she wants to be a journalist. Yeah,
Yeah.
that starts prodding the people that are going through a particular experience, of which no one talks about, and they've been doing it for generations. And she goes out there and then breaks the mold, but start asking questions that she's not supposed to ask, at the risk of herself. And not only that, the courage of the people that they know they're putting everything on the line. Everything, their whole lives. I'm talking about physical, economical, in the line. But then they want to, it is a pursuit for truth. Let it be said, let it be looked at. Let people know what's going on exactly. And then for that we need to accept the truth. They had to accept the truth, even though it was painful for themselves, There's a scene in that particular, I haven't seen the movie yet, scene in this particular thing.
Movie was good.
I'm reading it.
The hell.
That this person, is confronting some realities. Is confronting some realities that when brought forth at the beginning, she can. I mean, this is a physical reaction. She goes out and starts throwing up, physically, because it is a shock, to face it. But then this other young woman, I mean, she didn't mean to do that. She just wants to find out things. But then, and then eventually she, putting her neck on the loose, they say, okay, let's do it.
But she was supposed to be engaged to that man, and
All right, well, we'll see more.
he assumed that she was like him, but she was not.
No.
All right.
She broke
So,
up.
we'll see more about that. But the point is here that this person, then the people that are actually around her, they're really willing to break a silence. Okay, now, we have situations in which we become also kind of rutted, and we don't face it. And so much here is stirring the soup, as it were. What are we doing with the greatest gift humankind ever had, which is a species ever had, which is the capacity to think. To think about what? To think about realities. My wife was a teacher for a long time, assistant in schools, and it is amazing how we're so close to our beliefs and to our feelings and all that stuff, emotional, that parents, when they're told that the child is screwing up bad, the parent blames the teacher or says, no, nothing. It goes into this, what we call this denial situation, because you don't want to face the realities. This is the reality, my God. When your business is going down the drain, people keep putting more and more money into it. Until finally they go beyond what they have. And they create such a problem for themselves in some futures like broken and everything. Instead of saying, hey, to know when to stop and move on, kind of a thing, and stuff like that. And it is because, we have this conception. And we're not thinking, even though we had the possibility of thinking. That's what he's talking about. So, buddhiman is someone that actually uses his noodles, as it were. Uses the noodles and applies them in things that are not necessarily trivial, but they are actually highly meaningful for his and for her life, And there's three things a person has to apply to. There's three things. First of all, what am I? It's about the self. What actually am I? Am I the limited, wanting, empty, zero being that somehow I take myself to be? panting for experiences in order to feel good. What is the world? Does the world contain what I want? What is the nature of the world? What is my mother? What is my father? What is my son? What are my enemies? What are they? What is the world in which I am? What is this environment I fell into? And the thing is, well, there seems to be something they talk about God. What is this God they talk about? Not necessarily to just believe it. Which is very comfortable. You tell me what it is, and then I'll just go on that. I swallow it. No, to really, what is it? Is it possible? So anyway, this is what he's talking about, the possibility of a human being to be able to do that. It's just grand. I think it's grand in so many ways. So your thinking is thinking about realities. Because you're dealing with reality, there must be thinking. Otherwise, you're dealing only with shadows. If the realities are not known, you may be fighting in areas where no fighting is required. Now, isn't that a shame? So I have a faucet at home, and I open the faucet, and the water comes out. But then I go into the backyard, to try to find a well. And I found the water is about 300 feet below. So I spent my life, and I got a faucet at home. All I got to do is open the faucet, and that's it. So the fights that we have, we better start choosing to see what kind of fights. What are the things that really concern us? And we are applying our life energy, which is the beats of our heart, and the breathing rhythms and all that. How many breaths I have left in something that is really meaningful instead of just things that have no meaning.
How many marbles I have left?
How many marbles I have left? Yeah. So I got so many. How many more weekends I have left? I just blew one. That's it. So I'm blowing weekends every day, every week. So anyway, that's what he's talking about. Okay, and it's not funny. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Because it's like running a place.
Nowhere.
Ain't going nowhere. So that's the idea. So, that's it right here. Similarly, and then say, who's the present mind? Okay, here we are. Now we go to the next part. Thus,
in this verse, Krishna is saying that among the people, all of whom have buddhis, this person is the only one who is wise. Saha buddhiman manasya. Just as some people have money without being rich, some people have buddhis without being wise. The buddhiman, however, is a yogi, Krishna karma, one who has done all this to be done.
All that has to be done. Look at the word yogi here. Look at how it is used. It is a little bit in a different context than the word yogi is seen. Yogi is usually seen a person that practices some kind of discipline, yoga and all that stuff. These kriyas and all that kind of stuff. Isn't it? That's how
Right.
it's usually seen.
Here is, for a buddhiman, he's saying he's also a yogi.
That's right.
He's a wise person.
That means he's
Don't know
mature.
what
Yeah, he's
person.
a wise
He's a
person.
wise person.
That's right. A yogi here sees this in a sense of being a wise person. And he might not do any asanas, pranayama and all that kind of stuff. It has to do with that. Okay, remember that here the yogi, the word yoga is an accomplished human being. Is that correct? Yuktaha. Yuktaha means, in other words, look, the head and the heart are together. And not because of practices so much, but it's because of proper understanding. Is it the body doesn't go wild, ruled by a mind that has no reins on the body.
Yes.
That's why it's called the word Swami. It's also applied. Swami means someone that's mastered something, and he's a master of himself or herself. In terms of the senses, but left by themselves, with the mind behind it, manas. it seeks comfort. Is that correct? It seeks comfort. It wants to hear something wonderful, you know. It wants to see something attractive. It wants to taste something tasteful, you know. And, takes away the bitter and wants only the sweet. You know, the eyes only want to see beautiful things and so on. And yes, woo, goes like that. Why? Because it is attractive. And left alone, then they will take, the senses are like the horses in a chariot. The chariot without, the horses, steeds. And these guys here will go anywhere where they feel attracted to. So they need to have a rein. And then there has to be that rein is the manas, the mind, but those reins have to be wielded or controlled by buddhi. So the picture of Krishna has been the one that holds the reins of the horses. It's very beautiful here. Because Krishna is not someone that is going to come from heaven, and we can realize, and he's going to go to your Sahara Padma, and so on, all this stuff, It's in you already. Of course, it comes in terms of knowledge. But this is what the Guru comes into the picture. He destroys the mistake, through Shabda, through words. And the person then assimilates the vision, the buddhi. And that buddhi then rules the mind. That person, then it is an accomplished person. It's called a yogi. So in that sense, yogi is seen. Okay? The other one is okay, and it has a purpose. Asana, pranayama, and all that stuff. It has a particular purpose. But if the basis of that practice is done, on the premise that there is something wrong with you, and that will actually correct you, it ain't going to work. Why? Because there's nothing to correct. You're okay. Atma, the Swarupa of Atma is complete. It's okay. But if you go on the assumption, on the premise that there's something wrong with you, I don't care how many rituals and how many times you are born and reborn and go to, I don't care which heaven, even if you go to the Brahma Loka, and become a deity, then you see there a problem. So, in that sense, I think yogi, the word yogi is applied, and I thought we better look at it in the proper context. So, it's a person that is accomplished. In this case, in a sense, he's a buddhiman. Okay. Okay. You want to read the next one, please?
Sure. By discovering the Atma to be a karta, the wise person has completely destroyed all the karmas. The soul being for Puna, there is nothing more for this person to do at any time. The self as a karta is not a sometime affair. Once the self is known to be a karta, it will never become karta again.
Is it possible?
Surely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can see it. Knowledge eradicates error. You can turn the light off in this room, but you've seen it. Yeah, you've seen it. You know what's in it. There's no mystery about it anymore. So before you were tripping all over the place, because you didn't know what was there. And then there was always the fear, oh my, what's in the other side? And so on. Maybe there's a hole, I want to drop into something. But once you see it, then the knowledge doesn't go away. So it is not something that happens, every once in a while, comes back and goes. It comes and goes, comes and goes. No, it's just full knowledge. So this mistake disappears completely. Now, there's something remaining. What? The karta continues working. See, the karta continues. The problem is not the body and the senses and all that doing their job. Just like the problem is not that the sun rises and sets. It is just natural for the body and the mind and the senses to do their work. What is the problem?
Ignorance.
What? Ignorance of what?
True self. One's true nature.
No, but
Not knowing.
not knowing what?
Who you are.
who you really are. Because what is the problem? We have placed Atma in the thing that is moving. So
Changing.
that's why in the changing. In other words, we superimposed upon the self this kartatvam, the sense of doership. So once the knowledge is there, then the body will continue doing its job. It will run its course eventually. But then the mistake is not going to be made anymore. And the person will function fully. It's not a matter to what percentage of the brain you use. That's another thing. People think, oh, you only use 1% of the brain and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'll tell you, I have an IQ of only, 40? But you got an IQ of 140. That doesn't mean anything in terms of this. If, it means what, I'm still using 1%, I'm using what? 80% of the brain. It has nothing to do with that. You don't have to be a wizard in that respect. It's a matter of being able to use the buddhi for something that is, because to be able to win contests and stuff like that and get a better job or whatever it is, and to build a whole brand new thing that nobody ever thought about, there's a zero again in the left side of the decimal point. If you don't know yourself, that doesn't count, really speaking. Society might be blessed by you because of that. But your wife might not, even though she has all the goodies that she wants. She has a baby, a whining baby in her realm. That she's afraid that one day this guy will retire and he's going to have the full-time guy in there. See, that's the thing. You see, that's where it has to be placed. So it needs to be properly used, the buddhi. Okay, this continue on, please.
Okay, when we say Atma is a Sangha,
Mm-hmm.
we mean that it is free from being a karta and bhokta, which means it is free from sukha and dukkha, samsara. When it is said that Atma is always ananda, it means that Atma is pure,
Purna.
limitless. This knowledge makes a person, everything that is done has been done in one stroke. Nothing needs to be done for the person to be happy. Whatever karma the person has to fulfill by taking many births have all been fulfilled. All karma has been completely taken care of. Any activities he or she undertakes later is born of joy, not for gaining some security and happiness. The person may continue to do the same thing he or she did before. What one does not alter the fact that one is a karma.
So important.
As long
So important. Yeah,
as
go ahead,
long
please.
as there is a doer karta, there is action even in so-called inaction. A wise person is buddhiman, is able to see this, because I'm not doing anything also implies a karta. Both karma and akarma become karma in the vision of the wise. Whatever there is doership, there is always some action of the other. Therefore, everything becomes action, be it action or inaction. Buddhiman is also able to see a karma in both karma and akarma, because for such a person there is no doership in the self. Atma, he or she knows that while karta, the doer, is non-separate from the self is not the doer. Because the person has this knowledge, he or she is said to be wise among human beings and is described as one who has done everything that is to be done without exception.
Okay. Saha buddhiman manushesu is Saha Krishna Kamakrita. All right. Any points here that you think that should be?
I think the summary of this is that if you follow this, your ego will go away just like that.
Yeah.
There's no ego.
That's correct.
Okay? All the mistake you have
Yeah.
is all You misplaced.
Yeah, the ego, for example, of a non-illumined ego.
Right.
Enlightened.
Yeah, and now there's an enlightened ego.
Yep.
Okay, and that person, because the karta will continue.
Yep.
Yeah.
In other words, the person will continue. You know, that's another thing people have. You know, says maybe I don't want a self-realization because I don't want to die. You know, and so you die to the mistake. That's all. That's all. You die to the error, and you're born. You know, and it's a rebirth in terms of knowledge. Okay, so this is he uses the word. You know, here he's actually making a. He's actually making a, how do you call it? He says, when we say Atma is a Sangha, what does Sangha mean, or Sangha? What is the meaning of Sangha?
Sangha is an association, is that what you call it?
Sangha is
a group, right?
It's a group or association.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
that is Sangha.
Yeah,
This is Sangha.
What is this one?
What's the
That's a
difference?
difference.
Association.
Sangha means together.
Association with somebody.
Sangha means together.
Together.
together, that's correct.
Yeah, together.
That's correct.
Yes. Sangam.
So in other words, it says when
Sangha is association.
Yeah,
Association.
right.
And Sangha is together.
together.
Ah,
Like Sangati.
good point.
Sangati, right.
Mhm.
Samaj.
Okay, so this is when you put the word "a" behind the letter "a" behind it, then you say it's free
Yeah.
from what? Being together. Meaning what? You see, the silver, silver in the ring, you know, even though it is the content of the ring, there is a different level of reality, a different order of reality from the ring itself. The silver is constant. It is the reality of the ring, and the ring is independent of the ring. Meaning, what if something happens to the ring in terms of melting it, silver remains the same. So he says, when we say Atma, which is a self, me, the I am, then we mean that it is free from being a karta and bhokta. Okay, and which means it is free from sukha and dukkha. Okay, now the ring would definitely have sukha or dukkha. Let's suppose I change my mind. I'm not going to melt it after all. My ring will say, that's sukha. Okay, but then my wife comes over. You know what? I do need that earring. You know, I got it's only so much silver, and then the ring starts to shake. You know, that's what? It's dukkha. So, and then bhokta means, you know. So let's say I go to a nice party and I flash my ring. So the ring is enjoying itself. Okay?
Oh, ring is in there.
Okay, the ring is enjoying itself. Oh, I went to this party and all that
In the
stuff.
movie,
Bhokta.
they say, like,
Yeah. But then let's suppose that, I put a glove on it. Go to a party. That's another experience for my bhokta means also not only enjoy. Enjoy suffering and enjoys pleasure. That's what it means, okay? So now my ring says, oh my God, I'm so beautiful and this guy is not showing me off. So that becomes then a source of dukkha. Sorrow, dukkha. So myself, you know who I am like the silver in my ring. And the whole thing here is the ring, including the body, the mind, the senses. And from that standpoint, I do shine because we all shine. You know, just the fact that you can see is an amazing shine, okay? You can hear is a wonderful shine. That you woke up this morning is a wonderful shine. You're still making noise and taking up space, you know. Not only that, you know, you're healthy. That's also shine. So, now, and I know this stuff, and I shine. Okay? But then you come and you know more than I do. Oh, you make me feel bad. You make me feel good, and so on. So this bhokta, you know, is there, enjoying and suffering. And I know you're coming, then I start feeling all nervous. See that? I know she's coming. I just can't wait for her to come. Why? Because I'm going to shine with him. This guy, he makes me dull. This is the bhokta guy that goes to sukha and dukkha like that. Why? Because I have placed myself, Atma, where in that which
not
is
permanent.
incidental. The ring is incidental. It has no reality of its own. Okay, silver has reality. It gives it reality. There's only one reality, and this, so this body, mind, senses, and the shines that it has, which are amazing and beautiful, like a great ring, as it were. You know, it owes its reality to what? To me. It doesn't. You see, I have no attributes. I have no adjectives. Who I am is that because of which everything happens. Everything is. That upon which everything manifests. That is that sustains everything. And that upon which everything reduces to. If that's who I am, then I am a buddhiman, if I know that. If my entire psyche and everything is what permeated by that vision, just like your psyche is completely permeated, not at will, please, by the fact that you're male or female. You cannot get away from that. So if the person is a buddhiman, then everything gets permeated by that. It's not just a concept, please. That you're a male or a female is not a concept. It is a fact. That you don't have to actually, how do you call this, flounder, how do you say that when you say, right, like that. And you say, well, I'd like to be able to become a man. I would say, what? He says, no, because you are a man, don't worry about it. So in the same sense, this Atma, Chaitanya, which is myself, you know, somehow my mind needs to assimilate it properly. So that I don't become victim to this, to this mistake that I am Sangha. Is that correct? I am Sangha mean together, and suffer the consequences of that. It says, when we say Atma is a Sangha, we mean that it is free from being a Karta and Bhokta, which means, because it's not together like that, okay, then it is free from Sukha and Dukkha, from what? Pleasure and pain. Okay, and what? From Samsara. Samsara means the wheel of ups and downs, the yo-yo syndrome. Okay, when it is said that Atma is always Ananda, Ananda means in this case what?
Bliss.
Not bliss. It is an incorrect interpretation of the word Ananda.
Purna.
That's right, Purna, complete. Ananda means complete. When we say that Atma is Ananda. Okay, remember that bliss is experience of the mind.
Yeah.
Maybe a person that is established in Ananda, is blissful in many ways. But then if they take away his car, even though the guy is Ananda, the bliss goes for a little while. The mind doesn't like that. So anyway, it says, when it says that Atma is always Ananda, in other words, nothing makes it be Ananda. In other words, complete. Nothing completes it. Okay? It means that Atma is complete, Purna, full, limitless. This knowledge makes a person a Krishna concrete. Now, everything that is to be done, has been done. In other words, the guy is accomplished. That person is accomplished. In other words, because, listen, everything that you and I do, or the things that we omit to do, have only one purpose. Remember we talked about that? Pravritti, nivritti, for what? If you don't do something, or you decide to do something, even though there are two different things, opposites, there's only one purpose in the whole thing.
To be happy.
That's right, to find some fullness in yourself, isn't it? Some completeness in yourself. So now this fella, this person, this buddhiman, there's no need to do that. Whenever he or she functions or does anything, he doesn't do it out of a need to find fullness, because he is Ananda. So, you mean that he doesn't do anything? Yeah, he still does, but then he does it out of joy. Out of joy. Not to complete himself, but what,
It's always
it's always complete. How can you complete, how you make the complete?
Is that similar to like Sevak approach?
It's not a particular.
Conscious.
No, because he could be doing anything. He could be eating, or he could be working. He could be doing some menial job, whatever. Not necessarily seva means here service to others and all that. Even though that he might do. You see, like
Like a child,
Yeah, he's enjoying having fun.
Yeah.
He's having fun,
Yeah.
and he's not expecting that thing will make him happy. Remember, I gave the example of the Pac-Man. You know, the Pac-Man has this shape. You know, it has this shape, right?
Yeah, it goes on it.
And he goes and he's eating. He constantly eating. You know why? Because trying to fulfill something, the whole never gets fulfilled. Sometimes he gets eaten by something like that. And you know, Pac-Man disappears completely. He doesn't pack stuff either. You know, it's just no packing. So anyway, he says whatever karmas. Okay, this says nothing needs to be done for the person to be happy. Whatever karmas the person had to fulfill by taking many births, have all been fulfilled. That was the purpose of being alive, to find fulfillment. Okay, and unfortunately, we die and the fulfillment doesn't happen. It says all karma has been completely taken care of. Any activity he or she undertakes later is born of joy, not for gaining some security or happiness. These purusharthas that are the basis of human interaction. You know the purusharthas? Remember the purusharthas? The pursuit of security, artha, the pursuit of
moksha.
that's right. The pursuit of pleasure or comfort, the pursuit of dharma, which is righteousness, and the pursuit of moksha. Those purusharthas are not there anymore. That is a yogi. It says, any activity he or she undertakes are born in joy. And it says, the person may continue to do the same thing he was doing as he did before. What one does not alter the fact that one is a karta. So this discernment, he says, the buddhiman is also able to see akarma in both karma and karma, anakarma. He or she knows that while karta, the doer, is not separate from the self. Let's look at this. Why he knows? Karta, the doer, is not separate from the self. Is that true? Is the karta, the doer, not separate from the self?
Right, yeah.
Same.
It's one and the same.
The karta,
But
self, but the self is not.
right.
there you go. The karta, the doer, is not separate from the self, like the silver is not separate from the ring. In other words, the ring contains what? Silver. However, silver has nothing to do with
Has
ring.
nothing to do with the ring or.
That's right. That's correct. So then in the end he continues to say, he says then because the person he said that where was I reading? He says he or she knows that what karta, the doer, is not separate from the self is not the doer. Because a person has his knowledge, he or she is said to be wise among human beings, and is described as one who has done everything that is to be done, without exception. So that is the discernment that takes place. You know, whenever somebody says, and judges somebody, and the judgment is complete about the person, and he says, wait a minute, I don't like his action, of course, that's a different, but the actor is fine. You know what I'm talking about? You might put a guy in jail maybe, but there's no hate towards it. Why? Because you're just fulfilling what is necessary. You don't like the action, but the person is still respected. And this is very difficult to respect a person that does a heinous act. Okay? Right, because we bundle the whole thing, that the doer is the person. However, the person is other than the doer. Of course, he mistakenly thinks he is the doer. That's a mistake. And this is what drives him to commit a heinous act, for example. But so somehow the person needs to recognize that the action is not the actor. And does it mean you forgive this fella from doing a heinous act? No, you put him in jail. No problem. So, well, then where is this forgiveness thing, Christian stuff? You recognize that, there go I, if I didn't have this knowledge. He doesn't have that knowledge. And then, of course, Jesus did that.
Would you call that his dharma? That he's doing his dharma?
No, he's not doing his dharma. He's actually doing a dharma. He's an adharmic.
Adharma.
It's a dharma. But then, because of the mistake, then he's actually following the nature of the mind. As I was originally saying, when we have the horses are doing their job, there's no rain.
Yeah, then they will go wild.
They'll go wild.
So he's doing his dharma, but when he...
But it's a dharmic because the fellow is a buddhi. In other words, he should know better. So it's an adharmic act.
Right, but then when he reins in with his buddhi, then he starts doing his dharma.
And whenever he performs according to what's correct,
Then that's his dharma.
then that is dharmic.
His dharmic action.
It is a dharmic action. Dharmic action. In other words, when he's talking about dharmic action, it means just as he would not like to be, affected or hurt, and he shouldn't be, then he doesn't affect anybody
He discerns
else.
and discriminates between right or wrong.
Right, that's correct. So anyway, so that's the point of this thing here. I wasn't talking about dharma and adharma. That's a different subject altogether. Okay, it has nothing to do with this. So here we have somebody that actually then, even though he has self-knowledge, self-knowledge does not affect him by performing actions still. But then he does it, he knows he's not the doer. Okay, Mina, you want to read the next one?
Yeah. Good. Next page.
When there is.
When there is no doer, there is no action. When there is no kartatva in the Atma, what karma is there for the person to do? If I am not the karta, how can I perform the action, even if all four Vedas enjoin me? If they say, "Oh karta, please do this ritual," I can only respond if I am the karta. When someone says, "John, please come here," only John will come, no one else. Just as an individual is being addressed here, so too the Vedas also address the individual. "O person, please do these karmas." Karma kuru.
Okay. It says if you're not the doer, and the Vedas say, "El karta, do this." If you're a karta, you have to do it. Why? Because the Vedas are addressing the karta. Okay. But if you're not a karta, I think somebody said, if you die, let's suppose you die, and your name is John, okay, and then you had to go out there and pass judgment by Peter before you go to heaven, okay, and then what do the soul leaves the body? So the guy goes and meets, and then there's a sound somewhere that says, "John," because he's got him on the list. He passed away. You know how they found out that you already reached 50 and they give you this, so you're on somebody's list. How do you call that one? ARP. Well, so Saint Peter, why shouldn't he have a data bank? He says this guy is gone. Okay, so he's on his way, and the guy keeps waiting for the guy. He says, "John," and John says, "John," he goes twice, and all of a sudden, the third time, "John," and he doesn't respond. And John is around, always his jiva is out there. But the guy knows himself when he died. This subtle body is still floating around, okay? But he doesn't recognize himself as John anymore. He recognizes himself as a whole. You know what same feeling does?
Self.
You know, he highlights John on his dial bank, and then he hits delete.
मर गया
I have no comment on that fella because the fella is not there. And then how come he didn't respond? Because I'm not John. He seems like calling ring. Several say, well, I ain't no ring. What are you talking about? But then the full ring still thinks I'm ring. When it says ring, yeah, I'm coming along. Same way. That is the point of this little thing, that once the Veda rules that which still sees himself as karta, which still has kartatvam.
Actually, this guy will be in trouble if he answers that, because that happened in Ordinar's game. A guy goes there, in a long line to buy Coke, and just when he's about to get his thing, somebody calls, "Hey, Dale!" And he steps out to see who calls and loses the number. He has to go back. Then he goes to the Porter John, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, again, big line, and just when he's about to enter, somebody, "Hey, Dale!" And he loses the number, again he has to go back. This happened over 3 times. The 4th time he is really on the Coke line to buy the Coke, and somebody says, "Hey, Dale," and these guys say, "No, my name is not Dale, my name is John."
And he gets his Coke.
It took him 3 times.
Yeah. So same period as the same thing, this guy, he jumps, he says, "Oops, delete, let's go, baby." He has no hold on John anymore. That's it.
Reincarnation.
He says, "John, please come here. Only John will come, no one else." He says, just as an individual is being addressed here, so too the Vedas also address an individual. "Oh person, please do these karmas. Karma kuru." And continue on, please.
And who is the person the Vedas are addressing? Is it the Satchit Ananda Atma or the Karta? They are definitely addressing the Karta. And what happens if there is no Karta? There is no response. A wise person does not respond because he is not a Karta. Only when there is a Karta, a doer, does the addressing of the Vedas have an effect. Otherwise it is useless. The enjoined karmas are also useless because they are all as well done for the Krishna
Karma.
Even Karma Yoga no longer applies to the wise person.
All right.
Very good, very good.
Just have a question, then why are the Vedas telling to
Right.
do the rituals?
Now think about it. What is the content of the Vedas? I'm talking about the three.
Karmakanda?
Huh? What is it for? What is the theme?
It's for preparation.
Purification of
No. What is the theme of the Vedas? To gain something that is not yet gained.
Yeah.
All right. All the Vedas, the first, the heaviest part, is for accomplishing desires. And desires that you don't even know about. For example, heaven is one desire. You didn't know about, and there is such a thing as heaven. And then there is punya. Really, and there is pap. Oh my God! And if you do enough punya, you get there. You get a ticket. If you don't, you lose the ticket. That is. So therefore, so it says now. But for that, you need to live a particular life. So you have to abide by what the Veda says.
So does that mean you have to be karta to?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because who else are they addressing?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because, but at the same time you recognize that you are a karta.
Yeah, the churches will lose a lot of clients. A lot of churchgoers, if this knowledge takes place in many people. Why? Because they say, wait a minute, hey, you're supposed to come to church.
So once you realize that it's karta, then it doesn't apply anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Because as long as we have a body, we are going to do karma.
Right.
Then you follow what the Vedas say.
No, but then, if the body is not the problem, the kartatvam is the problem.
Correct.
So the person that knows that aham akarta asmi, I am a karta, okay, the person that knows that person is not enjoying by the Vedas. In other words, he doesn't enjoy, meaning what in this case?
Described.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then if the person still has a sense of kartatvam, in other words, I am a karta, I am a doer, so then there is dharma to be lived by according to the Vedas. Now, it's according to the culture of the person, of course. So when I say Vedas means religion, I'm talking about dharma and all that stuff. Okay, like that. Now, let me just bring one more point. If a person is a mumukshu in terms of self-knowledge, look at this, please. Not a mumukshu in terms of trying to gain heaven, because that's also some kind of freedom. It's a spiritual person, but not in terms of doing punya so he can get heaven. But if the person instead of that, he's a mumukshu, a seeker of spirituality, but in terms of, the problem is ignorance, avidya. And he knows the nature of the self is complete, he's okay. But then he needs to own that up. Then that person, that mumukshu, needs to follow dharma, the values and all that. But they're not necessary to gain heaven. A person that is a mumukshu in terms of self-knowledge is not seeking heaven.
You're just trying to free from.
Yeah, because he knows heaven is someplace you get into, and it's not here and it's there, and one day I'll get into it, and it's limited. Then you gotta come back, or you might take a place in heaven that is so far away from God that even binoculars won't work, kind of thing. So it's a problem, so you got another problem. A mumukshu in terms of self-knowledge, this is the difference. Mumukshu means a person that is religious or spiritual. Because there's spirituality, or mumukshutvam, in terms of gaining heaven or gaining powers, siddhis and all that kind of stuff. You see, and then those have to live by, so both of them have to live by some norms, and you can call it the Veda. But the second one, the spiritual seeker in terms of self-knowledge, that person does it for antakarana shuddhi, which is completely different. Antakarana shuddhi means for the purification of the inner equipment so that self-knowledge can take place. So it's becoming an adhikari. Not an adhikari for heaven. The person will really figure it out. He says, wait a minute, how about if there's no heaven? But there's one thing that the person has come out to realize, based on the teaching by the Guru, that the nature of the self is already complete. That's why you're actually seeking completeness. You cannot seek that which you haven't experienced. And you've been experiencing wholeness. And your experience, then the nature must be wholeness. So then the seeker of truth, of knowledge, it becomes a jignasu. It's transformed mumukshutvam, which is the attitude of seeking freedom, into jignasa. Jignasa means, I don't know if you can say jignasatvam or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that what you say? Then the person is a seeker of knowledge, an inquiring person. And the problem is that most people that practice any kind of religious discipline or spiritual, they're mumukshus, they are seeking heaven, is moksha for them. Inquiry is not part of the package. Now, you might have inquiry to see what is punya, what is papa, and so on, and there is such a, what is heaven and all that. That's like a doctrination. That you do. But why? The whys are not there. How is it done like that? Where is God? What do you mean God? Now that's the question. That wait a minute. If you're a religious person, you don't ask, because then you say, well, God cannot be known. He's your Father in heaven, and one day you'll meet him. One day you'll meet him, and then you can ask him. That is the response to religious people. So there is two types of moksha. The other one becomes a jignasu. It graduates into a jignasu. Can you say that? It graduates into a person that starts analyzing.
Well, in that case, if it's a jignasu or
secret of knowledge,
it's all in this life. There's not like a moksha. He's not concerned about moksha then.
No, he's saying, moksha, he sees it in terms not of going to heaven, but no moksha in terms of getting rid of the mistake.
In terms of knowledge.
In terms of knowledge, because knowledge eliminates the mistake.
Yeah, but that is all in this.
Yeah, in this life.
Yeah,
There's nothing like
that's correct.
In this
afterlife or any.
But then Krishna brings into the picture that what happens if you die,
Yeah, then you take the knowledge.
and then that knowledge, is there already in your back and your package. And when you do come back and say, then you come in an area or a situation that is conducive, so you can continue on.
The prarabdha.
Bring the prarabdha.
In the prarabdha, that's correct.
So that is the reason I think reincarnation is so strong in Hinduism, pretty much, because the scriptures reinforce that.
Right. But then, of course, again, but then also creates another problem. We'll see later. This thing about karma and about reincarnation and all that, then creates a fatalism and so on.
Yeah,
Fatalism.
yeah.
Fatalism, because it's not properly understood. Again, it's taken as a doctrine. There's no thinking.
Yeah, but is that more or less let me put it this way, for a person to like a flashlight showing, hey, this is something you need to do to go there or to achieve or something. Is that the reason we do? Like, what I'm saying is, if there is no end in it, that means you don't go to heaven or some place where somebody defined it. Then everything is going to happen in this life.
Yeah, you see, the thing is that when a person does not pursue self-knowledge, the person is going on the basis that there is something missing about me. I'm a wanting person. When a person is seeking for self-knowledge, it's because the teacher is actually, or the teaching, the Vedanta, is actually help you see that that you are not limited, that you are not a wanting being, you are a complete being. Now that information, that factor is brought into your psyche, into your buddhi. And now your pursuit is to be able to own that up. And the idea of heaven, after life and all that stuff, it doesn't come into the picture. And you say, my God, so what's going to happen to me? I'll tell you, and I'm going to say this. Let's suppose you're a spiritual person, and you're a mumukshu, and you're a sincere mumukshu, and you now become a person that is seeking self-knowledge and is exposed to the teaching. Okay? Now, in order to be able for the teaching, to be committed to it, you have to live a life of dharma. In other words, you cannot, go adharmic. In other words, you're seeking purification of the inner equipment. Now watch. So therefore, that means that your life is congruent to dharma completely. You take Ishvara as the Lord again, and that whenever you interact, then Ishvara is in your mind and so on. Now watch. Let's suppose there is a heaven. Let's suppose there is a heaven. If there is a heaven, and you happen to die, let's say, prior to owning up this knowledge, let me tell you, you go to heaven like that. And not just to one of those, 2-star heavens. You're going to go to a 7-star heaven. If there is a heaven. So don't worry about it, it's already taken care of. Like that.
Oh, no.
So because somebody, I want to go to heaven. Wait a minute. You know that heaven is something that is in the realm of a place. And the place you're not in right now. Okay, but let's just say, don't worry about it. Okay, that's going to be taken care of itself. Why? You live a life of commitment to the pursuit of self-knowledge, and that includes to be dharmic. And that includes to live a life, which is congruent to this, to the nature of yourself, to the glory of yourself. Let me tell you, if you happen to drop the bucket, if there is a heaven, There you go, straight into heaven. Saint Peter won't even bother, just yes, come on. and they give you a first row ticket. You go there and you see all these empty seats, and they say you get that. You're gonna be right in front of God. That's correct.
Not only that, you get the golden rule.
That's right. That's correct. So, in case there is heaven, okay, I say there is heaven. Okay, but that's not a concern of mine. That's takes care of itself. It's like you do well in your family and so on. Fulfill you and all that stuff. You give medication and all that. Things will take care of themselves. But if you start holding back and become meister and this and that, and ego and all that stuff, before you know it, you're going to have a dysfunctional situation. So it takes care of itself. Don't worry about it. Anyway, let's finish the class. Sorry about that. I went a little over. Om. 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 Lord, lead me from what appears to be true to what is true. Lead me, Lord, from death to immortality. Lord, lead me from darkness into light. Lord, that is whole. This is whole. From that whole, this whole became manifest. And by understanding that this whole is that whole, what remains is only the whole. Lord, let there be peace, peace, peace. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyoti Ramaya Mrityoma Amritam Ramaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kachit Dukha Bhakvavet Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you.
All right. A person that has a cultural path. Let's say you guys are Hindus, okay, and you might be Christian, you might be Muslim, whatever. It doesn't mean that you don't perform your duties in terms of the religion, but you perform them with a whole different set of thinking. Antakarana Shuddhi becomes it. You worship the Lord. You do the things that you do, incense or whatever, and whatever you do. But then, and there's a connection between, you become, in other words, you see yourself as a creature and him as a creator, and you develop that relationship with God like that. And you do the things that are necessary if it comes from your heart like that. But then, recognizing that ultimately Tat Tomasi, that you are. That the worshipped and the worshipper are not different. That needs to be there. But then, in order for me to own that up, then I need to have this connection with my Lord, because you see yourself as a jiva. Okay, like that. Especially when you have troubles, situations that are happening, things that you wish to overcome and you can't, then you seek help. And you seek help from Him. But then you don't see Him as sat there, a figure on your puja room, but you see Him in others also. And you see a doctor, and you see a therapist. You go and look at the bank so you can get a loan or whatever, like that, without particular shraddha, like that. So you do what you need to do. Why? Because it's a jiva, you require those things. So it's not a matter of throwing the baby with the dirty water. You throw the dirty water, but you keep the baby. In other words, God, is very important to be able to be considered. Because what happens is that then person says, what God? And let me tell you, if you say what God, then you better have a basis to say that. You're going to reject something or accept something, you better have a basis for that. And let's analyze it too. If there is no God, let's see how is it that there is no God? And so on. Where do you come from? Your faculty of thinking and all this stuff, you have to actually start thinking about that. There's an order here. It's to be an intelligent situation here. This is not just a whole bunch of matter put together, like from going to the dumpster, pick up a bunch of car parts, car parts, and throw them in a bunch, and then you have a car running. There's some intelligence in there, which is a mysterious thing to you. So to that, you bow. Okay, that's what I was thinking about, okay? Otherwise, then we become what they call atheists, and you cannot be an atheist and this knowledge for it to bless you. Because you have to account for God. You have to account for yourself, you have to account for the world, and you have to account for God. Like that. Okay?